News.
With me is Paul Serhal, the Medical Director of the Centre for Reproductive and Genetic Health here in London. And Paul, what do you make of this announcement that this kind of experimentation will be allowed?
Well, I think it's very good news. We need to have a better understanding of early embryonic development in order to improve our success rate with IVF treatment. The human race is not a very fertile race. Many embryos start developing normally, but by day 5 of early embryonic development, they start slowing down. So a better understanding can only be beneficial in our line of treatment.
And it's perhaps surprising for those of us who aren't scientists that there's a lot still to be understood about infertility and why miscarriages happen.
Absolutely. One of the most distressing things for women who have been struggling to get pregnant, it end up with a miscarriage. And in some unfortunate patients, it seems to be a recurrent. And that is the reason why we need to start understanding what happens in this early stage of early embryonic development in order to help these patients.
There have been some experiments, I know in China, for example, where embryos have had other materials spliced into them, but there hasn't been a very high success rate. I mean, this is very early stages, isn't it?
Well, one has to be a little bit careful in order to qualify this kind of research. This is purely a study that will look into the impact of genetic manipulation on early cell division and early embryonic development. We're not talking about a technology that will use to treat patients or to avoid transmission of inherited diseases. We're still a long way off from applying such technology.
So we're strictly talking about the laboratory at the moment, not about implantation.
Absolutely, absolutely. That's the reason why the license restricts the transfer of these embryos. These embryos will not be transferred. These embryos will purely be given for research, you know, to further understanding of early embryonic development.
Would that be a whole other process if scientists were to say, well, this has been successful, now let's go ahead and implant embryos into wombs? That's a whole other permission scenario.
Clearly, absolutely, absolutely. We're still a long way off from transferring such embryos, a long way off.
If we do look further down the road and this works, it's successful in the laboratory, we may understand more about fertilization, but what could it mean for some inherited diseases?
Well, I think the potential of such technology is that if you were able to edit the DNA in order to avoid the transmission of certain genetic diseases, it's all very good news. But of course, we're still a long way off. There's a lot of work that has to be done in order to ascertain safety, let alone the benefit that will be derived from such procedures.
Important to get that perspective. Paul Serhal, thank you so much for coming into the studio.